Welcome to Specialist Retailers. Today I'm going to be talking to you about how to identify your target customer so that you can attract a steady flow of great customers who are willing to pay a fair price for your products and services. You know, the landscape for retail has changed dramatically since I first got into retail in the late 1970s when I used to work for my dad. Now I know what you're thinking. Gosh, he's far too young looking to have been working in the late 1970s? Well, thank you for the compliment. Seriously, with the rise of the internet, retailers with showrooms are finding it more and more difficult to find customers who value and appreciate your expertise. So how do you find customers who are willing to work with you and who are willing to spend a decent amount of money with you? Well, the answer is twofold. Firstly, you need to clearly identify who your target customer is and what their problems are, because the more you know and understand your target customer, the more relevant you become to them. And the more relevant you become to them, the more likely it is that they will pay a premium for your expertise. And the second part of the process in attracting a good steady flow of customers is to clearly identify and communicate your value to the marketplace. But I'll be talking more about that in an upcoming video. So make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you get all the latest updates. So let's get started on defining your target customer. And by the way, as a special bonus, you can download my target customer checklist by going to my website, specialistretailers.com. So why is it so important to clearly identify who your target customer actually is? Well, because if you try to be all things to all people, you just become bland and boring. Your audience doesn't know what you stand for, which makes it difficult for them to decide whether they can or even want to do business with you. But the more you know and understand your customer, the more likely it is that you will be heard by them in a crowded marketplace. So let's imagine that your customer is an actual target. The closer you get to the center of your target, the higher the value of your customer. And the more you understand the desires and aspirations of your customer, the more valuable you become to them. And the more valuable you become to them, the more they will seek you out and tell their friends about you. And the other great thing is that when you know and understand your ideal customer, you can develop your marketing message, your social media campaigns, and your website to appeal to their specific needs. When Amazon started their business, their aim was to become the world's general store. But they started by selling books. Their target audience at the time were people who lived far from the city centres and who didn't have access to local bookstores. They realized that it was far too unrealistic and expensive to try and be all things to all people. And even if they did, their message would have been crowded out by bigger and more well-known retailers. So remember, your niche market or your target customer is where you start, not necessarily where you end. There are 3 steps that you'll need to take to get a clearer picture of who your target audience actually is. So step 1. Think about the last time you had a really nice customer in your showroom. They were easy to deal with, they listened to your advice, and they spent a decent amount of money. So what do you know about them? What were their interests? What kind of car did they drive? Where did they live? Was it one person or was it a couple? What did you like about them? Write down as much as you can about that customer. And don't worry if you can't remember everything, just do the best that you can. Once you've done that, then think about 3 or 4 other ideal customers that you had in the store, and then write down as much as you can remember about them. Step 2. Have a look at your database and isolate those big sales. Then run a postcode check and see where those big sales are coming from. Now you may be surprised to learn that very often those big sales tend to come from either the same or similar locations. If you don't have a strong database, you can run a quick questionnaire over the next 7 days with your existing customers. Tell them that you want to improve customer service and would they mind answering a few questions. And again, ask them where they live, what kind of interests they have, why do they prefer to shop with you. Of course, you need to do all this without being intrusive, but just gather as much information as you can from your existing customers. Step 3. Now that you have a clearer picture of who your ideal customer is, it's time to get even more specific. And to do that, you need to do 3 more things so that you get crystal clear of who your target customer actually is. Now, I know that this might start to sound a little bit laborious and boring, but I promise you that if you stay with it, that it will be worth it and it will have a dramatic effect on your business. So the 3 things that you need to get clear about are the demographics of your customer, their geography, and the psychology of your customer. When we talk about demographics, we're talking about how old are they male or female, how much do they earn, etc. When we talk about geography, obviously it's where do they live, do they rent, do they own the house, and a whole bunch of questions like that. And of course, the psychology is really about how your customers think and therefore how do they behave. Now, to help you with this, you can download my target customer checklist that will give you a whole bunch of questions to help you to complete this last process of identifying your target customer. So who has the attention of your target customer? Now that you've clearly defined who your target customer actually is, you need to establish where to find them. So the purpose of the next exercise is to understand where your customers spend most of their time. This will help you to target your sales and your marketing efforts in the places where you're most likely to find your target audience. So for example, which social media sites do they go onto, what magazines do they read, and where they're likely to shop. You can use my target customer checklist to help you to complete this process. Congratulations on beginning the process of defining who your target audience is and where to find them. This simple process changed my business forever. When I decided to write my book, the first thing my publisher told me was to get clear on who your target audience actually is. At the time, I had a vague idea of what I wanted to write about, but I didn't have a clue who my audience was. It was only when I became crystal clear about my target customer that I was able to write my book. And in the same way, once you get clear about your target customer, you'll be able to position your business to attract a steady flow of your target customer who wants to do business with you. So please remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you get all the latest updates so that you can grow your business. If you like what you've heard today, please click the like button and leave a comment. It would be really nice to hear from you. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to seeing you next week.